Most people have heard of the 50-30-20 rule. Spend 50% of your income on needs, 30% on wants, and save 20%. It's simple, it's memorable, it's plastered across every personal finance blog and YouTube video, and it's almost always wrong. Not because the math is bad, but because most people use the wrong income number, miscategorize their expenses, and treat the percentages as rigid rules instead of a flexible framework. The result? They fail, they feel guilty, they give up, and they blame themselves. But the truth is, the 50-30-20 rule was never designed to be a one-size-fits-all budget. It was a guideline from a 2005 book. And in 2026, with housing costs up 30%, student loan debt at all-time highs, and childcare more expensive than rent in most cities, the old percentages simply don't work for millions of Americans. If you stay until the end of this video, you'll learn exactly how to use the 50-30-20 rule the right way, with updated percentages for high-cost cities, for low-income earners, for those with massive student debt, and for those who want to retire early. I'll give you a step-by-step system to calculate your own personalized budget framework with real-world examples and a simple spreadsheet template. By the time we're done, you'll have a budget that actually fits your life, not the other way around. My name is your name, and today we're fixing the most misunderstood rule in personal finance. Let me start with a story that will sound painfully familiar. A young couple, let's call them Jake and Emily, earn a combined $120,000 a year. They live in a high-cost city. They heard about the 50-30-20 rule. They calculated their after-tax income, about $84,000 per year, or $7,000 per month. According to the rule, they should spend $3,500 on needs, $2,100 on wants, and save $1,100 per month. But their rent alone was $3,000. Add utilities, groceries, insurance, and minimum student loan payments, and their needs were over $5,000. They felt like failures. They cut back on wants, no eating out, no vacations, no new clothes. They still couldn't hit the 50% needs target. They blamed themselves. They gave up on budgeting entirely. They thought they were bad with money. They weren't. They were just using the wrong rule for their situation. The 50-30-20 rule was popularized by Senator Elizabeth Warren in her 2005 book, All You're Worth. At that time, the median rent-to-income ratio was about 25%. Today, in many cities, it's over 40%. Student loan payments didn't exist at the same scale. Healthcare costs were lower. The world has changed. The rule hasn't. So let me show you how to adapt it. Step 1. Use the right income number after tax, but adjusted. Asterisk. Most people use their after-tax income, take-home pay after taxes. That's correct. But there's a nuance. If you contribute to a 401 or other pre-tax retirement account, that money is technically saved before you even see it. So if you include your 401n contribution as part of your 20% savings, you're double counting. The cleanest method: use your gross income, then subtract taxes, then apply the percentages to that net number. But exclude your 401a contributions from the net because they've already been taken out. Alternatively, use your take-home pay after 401 contributions and then only count additional savings, like Roth IRA, HSA, taxable toward the 20% goal. I'll show you a simple spreadsheet. Let me give you a concrete example. Gross income, $80,000. Taxes, $15,000. 401n contributions, $10,000. Your take-home pay after taxes and 401a is $55,000. That's your available income for needs, wants, and additional savings. The 50-30-20 rule applies to that $55,000. So needs 27. Wants $16,500 additional savings, $11,000. But wait, you already saved $10,000 in your 401n. Your total savings are $21,000, which is 26% of gross, well above 20%. So you're fine. The point is to not double count. Step 2. Define needs correctly. Most people get this wrong. A need is something you cannot live without. Rent or mortgage up to a reasonable amount. Utilities, basic groceries, not organic steaks. Health insurance, minimum debt payments, credit card minimum, student loan minimum, car loan minimum, transportation to work, bus fare or gas for a reasonable car, childcare that enables you to work. That's it. Everything else is a want. Dining out, vacations, entertainment, cable, streaming services, new clothes beyond basics, upgraded electronics, expensive hobbies, gym memberships, and alcohol. Here's where people mess up. They categorize their $800 car payment as a need because they need a car, but they don't need a $40,000 car. A $10,000 used car is a need. The extra $30,000 is a want. Similarly, they need housing. But they don't need a $3,000 apartment in a luxury building when a $2,000 apartment in a safe neighborhood is available. The difference is a want. When you calculate your needs, use the bare bones version. If your needs exceed 50% of your after-tax income, you have 3 choices: increase income, reduce needs, move, sell the car, get a roommate, or adjust the percentages. Don't feel guilty. In high-cost cities, 50% is impossible. For many, that's why we need flexible rules. Step 3. The updated percentages for different situations. Let me give you a set of alternative frameworks. For high-cost cities, New York, San Francisco, Vancouver, Sydney, London, try 60-20-20. Spend 60% on needs, 20% on wants, 20% on savings. That's more realistic. If your rent alone is 40% of your take-home, you simply cannot hit 50% needs. Accept it. Adjust. For low-income earners, under $50,000 gross, try 70-15-15. When you're struggling to pay for basic needs, saving 20% is unrealistic. Focus on building a small emergency fund first. Once your income rises, shift to a higher savings rate. For high-income earners, over $200,000 gross, try 40-30-30 or even 30-30-40. If you're earning a lot, you can afford to save more. Don't inflate your lifestyle to match your income. Save the difference. For those with massive student loans or medical debt, you may need to allocate 25% or more to debt repayment. Treat debt repayment as a hybrid. The minimum payment is a need. Extra payments are a form of savings because paying off debt increases your net worth. So for the debt-heavy, use 50-20-30, 50% needs, 20% wants, 30% to debt and savings combined. The key is to be honest about your situation and adjust the percentages to be achievable. A budget that you can't stick to is worthless. Step 4. The 50-30-20 spreadsheet. A simple template. Let me walk you through building a simple spreadsheet. Open Google Sheets. Create columns. Category: needs, wants, savings item, monthly amount. Under needs, list rent, utilities, groceries, health insurance, minimum debt payments, transportation, childcare. Under wants, list dining out, entertainment, subscriptions, shopping, hobbies, vacations. Under savings, list emergency fund, Roth IRA, extra debt payment, taxable brokerage. Add up each category. Divide by your after-tax monthly income. Compare to your target percentages. If needs are too high, look for cuts in housing, transportation, or groceries. If savings are too low, increase income or cut wants. If wants are too high, that's the easiest place to cut. Here's a real example. Monthly after-tax income, $5,000. Needs: rent $2,000, utilities $200, groceries $500, insurance $200, car payment $300. minimum student loan $200, childcare $500, $3,900. That's 78%. Impossible. They need to move to cheaper rent, sell the car, or increase income. This is not a budgeting problem. It's a structural problem. The 50-30-20 rule is a diagnostic tool, not a magic wand. Step 5. The pay yourself first hybrid. The best way to use the 50-30-20 rule is to reverse it. Instead of tracking every expense, decide on your savings target first. Automate that savings. Then spend the rest on needs and wants without tracking categories. This is the pay yourself first method from Script 47. For example, you decide to save 20% of your after-tax income. That's $1,000 per month. You set up automatic transfers to your Roth IRA, 401(n), and savings account. The remaining $4,000 is for needs and wants. You don't need to separate them. Just make sure you don't spend more than $4,000. That's a simpler, more effective system for most people. Step 6. The 50-30-20 rule for a regular income. Asterisk, if you're self-employed or a freelancer, the rule needs adjustment. Use your average monthly income over the last 12 months. Then apply the percentages. In high-income months, save more. In low-income months, draw from savings. The goal is to have a buffer so that your needs are always covered. For freelancers, I recommend a 40-30-30 split. 40% needs, 30% wants, 30% savings. Because your income is variable, you need a larger savings cushion. Step 7. The 50-30-20 rule for couples. If you're married or living together, you have 3 options: joint accounts, separate accounts, or a hybrid. The 50-30-20 rule works best with joint accounts. Combine your after-tax incomes. Calculate joint needs, wants, and savings. If you keep separate accounts, each person applies the rule to their own income. That can be fair if incomes are similar, but if one person earns much less, it can create resentment. A common approach: contribute proportionally to joint needs, then each person's remaining money is their own wants and savings. Asterisk, the psychology of the 50-30-20 rule, why it fails, and how to fix it. The biggest reason people fail is guilt. They see their needs are 70%, and they feel like they're doing something wrong. They're not. The rule is a guideline, not a law. The real goal is to save at least 20% of your income. If that means your needs are 60% and wants are 20%, that's fine. If your needs are 80% and you can only save 10%, that's also fine. You just need to increase income or reduce fixed costs. The percentages are a mirror, not a judge. Another psychological trap is the want category. Many people feel guilty for spending on wants. But wants are essential for mental health. A life without dining out, vacations, or hobbies is miserable. The 30% wants category gives you permission to enjoy your money. That's why the rule is so popular. Don't cut wants to zero. That's not sustainable. Real example: how one couple fixed their 50-30-20. Let me tell you about a couple who came to me. They earned $150,000 combined. They lived in a high-cost city. Their needs were $7,000 per month, 56% of their $12,500 monthly after-tax income. That's above 50%, but not crazy. Their wants were $4,000, 32%. Savings were $500, 12%. They were saving only 12%, not 20%. They felt guilty. I told them to stop feeling guilty. Instead, I asked them, what's one want you could reduce? They said dining out, $1,000 per month. They cut it to $500. That freed up $500. They also realized their needs included a $600 car payment for a luxury SUV. They sold it and bought a $15,000 used car. Their needs dropped by $400. Total freed $900 per month. They redirected that to savings. New savings, $2,400 per month, 2% of after-tax income. Close enough. They didn't hit 20%, but they felt in control. The rule worked because they used it as a starting point, not a prison. Asterisk the 50-30-20 rule for early retirees, FIRE. If you want to retire early, you need a much higher savings rate, often 50% or more. The 50-30-20 rule becomes 50-10-40, 50% needs, 10% wants, 40% savings, or even 40-10-50. The point is to save aggressively, but this only works if you have a high income or very low expenses. For most people, a 20 to 30% savings rate is more realistic. Asterisk the 50-30-20 rule for seniors on fixed income flip. If you're retired, the rule flips. You're no longer saving for retirement, you're spending it. So your savings category becomes deferred spending or buffer. A better framework for retirees is the 50-30-20 rule for spending. 50% on needs, 30% on wants, 20% on discretionary savings for unexpected expenses or gifts, or use the 4% rule to determine your sustainable withdrawal rate. How to track the 50-30-20 rule without going crazy. Asterisk. You don't need to track every penny. Use these 3 tools. First, use separate accounts. Have one checking account for needs on payments, for rent, utilities, insurance. Have another checking account for wants, your spending money. Have a savings account for savings. Then you can see at a glance if you're overspending. Second, use an app. YNAB, Mint, or Every Dollar can auto-categorize your expenses. Check once a week. Third, use the 50-30-20 spreadsheet I mentioned. Update it monthly. Don't obsess over daily variances. Asterisk the one number that matters more than percentages. At the end of the day, the most important number is not your needs percentage or wants percentage. It's your savings rate. If you save 20% of your income, you will be on track for a comfortable retirement in about 30 to 35 years. If you save 15%, it will take 40 to 45 years. If you save 10%, it will take 50 plus years. The savings rate is the single biggest predictor of when you can retire. So focus on increasing your savings rate by 1% every few months. The 50-30-20 rule is just a way to get there. Asterisk your action plan. Do this today. Here's what you need to do in the next 24 hours. First, calculate your after-tax monthly income. Include your take-home pay after taxes, health insurance premiums, and 401(n)(a) contributions. Second, list your needs. Bare bones. Rent, utilities, groceries, minimum debt payments, transportation, childcare, health insurance. Total them. Third, list your wants. Everything else. Dining, entertainment, subscriptions, shopping, hobbies. Total them. Fourth, list your savings. Emergency fund, Roth IRA, extra debt payment, taxable brokerage. Total them. Fifth, calculate percentages. Divide each total by your after-tax income. Compare to 50-30-20. Sixth, if you're off, identify one change, reduce one want, or increase your savings by 1% automatically. Seventh, commit to tracking for 30 days. At the end of the month, reevaluate. Eighth, comment below. My savings rate is 0%. Tell me your current savings rate. I'll reply to the first 100 comments. If this video helped you customize the 50-30-20 rule for your life, hit the like button. It helps others who are struggling with unrealistic budgets. Subscribe and turn on notifications. In the next video, I'm going to reveal why your net worth isn't growing, 7 leaky buckets you haven't checked, and how to plug them. The 50-30-20 rule is not a straitjacket. It's a guide. Use it to understand your spending, then adapt it to your reality. The goal is not to hit arbitrary percentages. The goal is to build a life you love while securing your financial future. Now go build your budget the right way. I'll see you in the next video.